Hello, grade 11, and welcome to your 2020-2021 class meeting. Now, as you recall from previous years, you would have met with us on that first day in the auditorium. We would have welcomed you, talked about the important things to look forward to this year, gone over the rules and regulations of our expectations here at Hudson High, but obviously this year had to look a little different. We had to emphasize welcoming you back into our hybrid model, learning what we needed from you in terms of community and personal safety, and adjusting to learning both at home and in school. It was different. But now we have the time, about a month in, to take a pause, go back to some of that important information, and set us off on a good space for the rest of the year. Now you're juniors. You're very much going to be looked up to as leaders in the community. You have 2 years left of Hudson High. Many of you are already well thinking about what life after high school might look like for you. And that may make some of you excited. It may make some of you nervous because maybe you haven't thought about it yet and you're not sure what that plan is. But now is the time, now is the plan to get plugged in with your counselor, get plugged in with your teachers or with us as your administrators, and getting you to help think about what you want for yourself after high school, but also what do you want for the next 2 years? Obviously these next two, at least this year, is going to look different. What do you want to make of your experience? How do you want to redefine or rethink about the ways we come together as a class and community? All of those things lay before you. I hope you view that as promising and full of opportunity, and we're here to support you through that journey. I'm going to turn the microphone now over to Mr. Goldberg, your new assistant principal.
And hello, all juniors. My name is Adam Goldberg, and I'm your new assistant principal. It's exciting to be here at Hudson High. I was not here during your opening assemblies. I started here about a week and a half ago, and the day after I began here, we got word that you were going full remote. So, excuse me. So I've missed you. I haven't gotten to see many of you, and I'm excited for your return next week and hopefully for the rest of the school year. Junior year, as Principal Medeiros had described, what an exciting year. And I'm hoping all of you are making some plan for after graduation. I say some plan, some postgraduate plan is going to run the gamut for many of you. But junior year is your last full year of high school before you really begin to activate what that plan is going to be. And for many, that can be a scary and kind of intimidating unknown for the future, but it's exciting and it means a lot. This is your last full year of high school before you begin implementing what that after high school graduation plan is going to be. I look forward to being part of those conversations. I look forward to getting to know everybody and all the different junior related events and your classes and the activities out in the athletic fields and the community. Encourage you to let me know what's going on in the class and individually. If you got something great going on, please invite me. I'll be around in the cafeteria. I'll be popping in the classes. I'm outside. So it's really a wonderful experience to come to Hudson High. I look forward to working with all of you in this really exciting up ahead junior year that you have. Be safe, be well, have a great year. Thank you.
Okay, Hudson High. Mr. McInnesby, Mr. Goldberg, and I are going to be going through a lot of the content that is the same for all of you through grades 8 through 12. We're going to be talking a little bit about our expectations right now under our hybrid model. We're going to talk about our Hawks Care Community Code, what attendance is going to look like for this year, whether you're in person or virtual, and then we're going to give you the same overview of the handbook that if you remember from your class meetings and previously as we would have done. Finally, for grades 8 through 11, you're going to see a short video from your school counselors. In grade 12, you already had a senior parent and information night, so a lot of the content that was covered there was available then and continues to be available on the school website. All right, so Hudson High. Everything that we're doing this year is going to be grounded in our Hawks Care Community Code. This is the document that was shared with you, A block, that very first day. And what that document does is outlines our specific expectations, how we're treating one another, how we're living, and how we're behaving in what is a very unorthodox school year. Now, I want you to remember that last year in the classroom and in the community, we engage in multiple conversations on perseverance and what it means to persevere both inside and outside the classroom. So that conversation on perseverance is going to be very important because that's going to lead to our commitment this year as a community for our collective safety and our education. And as I addressed on the PA system a few weeks ago, perseverance is going to be vital because as the months carry on and the weeks carry on, the need to socially distant, the need to wear our masks, the need to wear but to follow our protocols, that's going to become harder and harder, right? If you read the news and listen to news, a lot of people are talking about pandemic fatigue. Yes, we want to get out and we want to be able to go to concerts, go to sporting events, and do all these things that before the spring we were able to do without question on a day-to-day basis. But we're going to have to persevere. And as we do so, I want you to remember these principles. Be caring with one another. All right, that's in the classroom, that's in your Google Meets, that's in the hallways. Remember that all of us are experiencing this pandemic differently. Some of us may have lost family members. Some of us may have strong opinions about whether and how we should be behaving during this time. But when participating as a member of the Hudson High School community, the Hawks Community Code shines to the forefront. So be self-aware, be caring, be patient with one another. Know the protocols. And by and large, you all have been doing a great job with that so far. The mask, the hallways, the bus, lunch protocols, etc. We all share in this accountability if we want to be able to learn in person throughout the school year. All right, let's talk about attendance now. All right, even before the pandemic set in, Hudson High School was working on a new attendance policy because there are parts of it that just weren't working. So I'm going to talk first about what the changes to that attendance policy, what the changes to the attendance policy are, and then I'm going to talk about how we're already needing to adjust some of those things as a result of COVID. So the first main thing about the Hudson High School attendance policy that is gone is that before, if you had an unexcused absence, you would earn a 0 for any work that was due or any assessment that was administered that day. And we were observing problems that, that wasn't really equitable and it wasn't treating individuals fairly. So that part of the policy is gone. But what is new is that we're going to be tracking how many class absences you have in each of your blocks. And that means if you miss 10 classes per semester in, say, English, or 25 if it's a year-long block throughout the year, that there's a chance that you're going to lose some, if not all, of your credit. We want you in class, and being present as part of the learning community is not only going to support your achievement, but it's going to warrant us giving you credit as being a member of our learning community. So that's the primary shift, the shift away from zeros for unexcused absences, more towards accountability for just showing up and being present. Another part is new is what we're calling the planned absence academic plan. So we know that there are times where families, may take an extended weekend trip, or you go away for a holiday, and all of those things aren't going to change. But what we found is that kids and families weren't necessarily always being honest with us. And people were calling out sick when maybe they were traveling out of the state for a sports club tournament or something like that. What we want to do is create an academic plan where we incentivize you just being honest with us and telling us when you're going to miss school and why you're going to miss school. Now, these absences will still count towards the total that I just talked about, but remember, you won't be getting zeros anymore. So the goal is, if you know that you're going to miss 2 or more days of school for a family commitment, for another enrichment opportunity that you may be able to participate in outside of Hudson's High School, that's okay, but we want you to tell us, and we have a form that you're going to fill out, and you're going to meet with all your teachers and talk about what the expectations are while you're away. Teachers aren't going to be required to give you the work in advance. In fact, the teacher may determine that these are the things you're going to have to do when you get back. But the idea is to create transparency with us, to be honest with us so that we know when you're out and that you and your family can work around those absences so that you can get your work done and there's some accountability there. All right. All of that is going to be lined out in the student handbook, and I invite you to read that on our school website when it becomes available and translated. Finally, all right, we're about to launch this new attendance policy, and here we have COVID. All right, so you're going to notice a couple new things in Aspen. First, you're going to notice 2 new codes, virtually absent and virtually present. That's going to indicate when your teacher has acknowledged that you met the requirements within a block learning from home. All right, and we understand that this year has already brought some challenges. We've had some power outages. We've had some technological difficulties that you experienced with your Chromebook. Those things are going to happen. So when we look at the new policy, we're going to take into consideration that we're all learning how to do school differently, and you can meet with your counselor, with your assistant principal, or with me if you're not sure how these absences are going to impact your learning and your credit. So what does virtual attendance look like? All right, so when you get a virtually present, what does that mean that you've earned for that block? Well, when you're learning remotely, there are 3 core components to virtual attendance. We want to be able to see you. That means your camera's on. We need to be able to hear you. That means your microphone's on and you're engaged in discussion and participating. And we need to observe your engagement. All right, we need to be able to see you following along the lesson, completing that class assignment. If multiple components of those are missing, then we don't really know if you're there. We don't really know if you're sitting at your laptop doing what you're supposed to be doing, engaged in the work of the school. We need you virtually present because for many of you, that's a significant part of your work week. So if these aren't happening, you're not going to be considered present by your teacher. And finally, what does virtual engagement look like? So learning from home brings the same expectations as learning in school, meaning you got to respect that classroom. It may not be a physical classroom, it's a virtual one, but you still got to show your teachers and your students the same amount of respect. It is a privilege to be able to log into synchronous instruction. There are a lot of different models out there that other high schools are pursuing, and you have the opportunity to follow the same schedule, the same day, engaging with your teachers and peers. All right, we're not farming you out to some sort of online software to just kind of follow along and learn on your own. It is a privilege to be able to kind of log in, be present, and do school in whatever way we can in this pandemic. We want you to respect that environment. So that means the appropriate behavior and language in Google Meets, just because you're sitting at a desk at home or on your couch or wherever your learning space is, that the same rules apply. All right. So when there's a mass break or a lunch break for a block, you got to get back into that meet, no disappearing, just like you wouldn't want you disappearing in the hallways during the school day. All of these things need to remain consistent for you to be engaged and plugged into your learning.
Hello, Hudson High School. My name is Mr. McInnesby, and I am the assistant principal in charge of grades 8 and 9. Today, during our class meetings, we just want to go over some protocols. Myself and Mr. Goldberg, who will introduce himself in a minute, go over some protocols of things that we're doing here at Hudson High School that may be a little bit new. First thing we want to talk about a little bit is the bus. When you're driving the bus, we want to make sure that you are in your assigned seat. We want to make sure that you're staying socially distant. In case we need to do some contact tracing, then the bus driver will know where you were sitting and when you came on the bus and when you got off the bus. I want to make sure that you're following all the rules that you have been following for the past years that you've been on the bus. Be respectful of the bus driver. Treat the bus like it's a classroom. If the bus driver asks you to move seats for whatever reason, please do so. It's only a short ride to and from school, and we want to make sure that everyone arrives to school safely and goes home safely. Another issue I want to talk about is our cafeteria. We have some new protocols that are in our cafeteria. Again, there's an assigned seat for everyone. If you don't know where your assigned seat is because you've been sitting outside for the past few weeks, let me know. There'll be someone there on duty that will be able to let you know what table you're sitting at. Again, we need to have you in the assigned seat that you chose to sit at to make sure that, again, we're doing the contact tracing. When you come into the cafeteria, 6 feet apart. When you go into the serving area where the cafeteria workers are, only a few people in that area at a time. Again, trying to stay 6 feet apart. You've been really good the past couple of weeks as far as cleaning up. You've been excellent, actually, compared to years past. Again, like pick up your trash, throw it in the barrel when you leave. We want to just, again, make sure that you treat our custodians fairly, you treat our cafeteria workers, you're good to them, because they're really good to us in coming here and helping us get through our day. If you're sitting outside, again, we want to make sure that you are 6 feet apart. We need to get a little bit better at that than we have been the past couple of weeks. 4 students to a table. You're able to sit on the rock walls that are out there, staying in that courtyard area. If you have any questions about protocols that are going on the bus or in the cafeteria, you can see someone on duty, you can see myself, or you can see Mr. Goldberg.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McInnesby. My name is Mr. Goldberg. I'm the new assistant principal for grades 10, 11, and 12, and I want to thank everybody for welcoming me to the Hudson High School community. It's been a wonderful experience, even though students have not been here. It's really since the first day. We're really looking forward to having you back here and seeing students bring life back to the building here. like Mr. McInnesby was saying, describing the protocols that are new this year, certainly because of the COVID pandemic and all that we're experiencing together. When you're in the building, though, some things never change. And our student handbook describes all of those things. And my purpose here today is not to read or go through all of the particulars and the logistics and the deep dive of the handbook. You can certainly do that on your own. And I strongly encourage you to. And if you have any questions about anything in that handbook, certainly talk with myself, Mr. McInnesby, or any faculty member here at the school, and we'll get your questions answered right away. Of course, when you're in the building, it's about being an engaged and a respectful member of the Hudson High School community. Of course, you're not bringing weapons into school. You're not bringing drugs into school. You're not planning on fights here in the school. Any of these things and actions have consequences. If any of these things come across my desk, Mr. McInnesby's desk, we're going to certainly do our best to find the truth of the matter, and then certainly bring family into the conversation, and then certainly there are consequences that happen. We don't foresee any of these kinds of situations occurring this year. It goes without saying how wonderful the student body is, but certainly you need to be aware that actions do have consequences. As much as we want to recognize students for the wonderful things and the great things that are being done in the building, certainly if students are making bad decisions, there are consequences for those, and we'll be reaching out if we have to have any of those conversations. On an attendance front, whether you're in person, your virtual attendance matters, as Mr. Medeiros had described to you. Should students become chronically absent, they're accruing too many absences, too many tardies, not attending in the virtual setting as you're supposed to be, Mr. McInnesby and I will be reaching out. You'll be getting letters, so families have a sense as to how many absences those are and which courses they are in, and phone calls that we'll be following up with. And if need be, we'll be bringing families in, having meetings online, and talking about what we can do to bring you back in and re-engage you, involving guidance, involving special educators and those support service personnel that are all here together to support you being an active member and successful member of our community. So we're really looking forward to a great year. I just started, so my year with you has just begun, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful rest of the year with you and all the things that we're doing here at Hudson High. So have a great rest of the year. Thank you. Remember your masks.
Hi, class of 2022. Miss Bartlett
and Miss S.
are here to review some important graduation information and how they connect with your future plans, as well as what steps you can take to have a successful, fun junior year. Most of you know who your counselor is. We have a slide here with listing the alphabet breakdowns, just because we know we have some new students at Hudson High, and we also have students who may have switched counselors. One thing for you to think about is, can your counselor name 5 unique things about you? If they can't, it's time for you to make an appointment. Build those relationships this year if you don't already have them. We want to know you. We want to know what's happening in your life and how we can assist in making your junior year the best year yet. To make an appointment with your counselor, you can click on the link on this slide, or you can scan the QR codes that are posted outside of the counseling office. When you click the link, it will take you to our department website, and you'll see a request to meet with your counselor under each specific counselor. Academic course selection matters, and it matters a lot. Not only for post-secondary planning, for post-secondary planning. Your post-secondary options are interested in you as a whole package and what you can add to the place of employment or college. With extracurricular activities and athletics having more constraints this year, a larger emphasis is being placed on the courses you take and the grades you earn. I'm sure you've heard about the challenges with students taking the SAT and ACT. Many colleges are now test optional, meaning they don't require the entrance exams for admissions, but they will take them if you want to submit them. Juniors deciding to take the exams will take them this spring. Again, because many schools are test optional, it means that there's more emphasis placed on your academics. So it is important for you to acknowledge that there is a difference between the required high school graduation requirements for Hudson High School and what the recommended college course classes are. For high school, you have to earn 96 credits in the required subject areas. And then for college, there is a difference between the recommended science, social studies, math, and world language classes. Because colleges often recalculate their GPA, and it includes 17 academic core classes. So it's important to note that the military colleges and employers prefer students who challenge themselves academically and go beyond the minimum requirements. We recognize that not all students will take 4 years of science or 4 years of social studies because it doesn't make sense for them. Some students have a strong passion in music or art and they know that's what they want to pursue. And for those students, taking those elective classes makes more sense for them. The main takeaway is that you're preparing yourself the best you can for what you want to pursue. Another component of graduation requirements are the state mandated testing, the MCAS test. Many of you have already passed the science MCAS test that you took as a freshman. Others may have satisfied the requirement because you passed biology or chemistry. The state right now is planning for juniors to take the math and English MCAS in January. As we receive information in more details, we will share them with you. If you end up earning the score that is a little bit lower than passing, but says that you partially met requirements, that means you'll have a plan in which you continue to learn in that subject area. The high school transcript. It's your official academic record of your time at Hudson High School. It is probably the most important artifact of your high school career and planning for your post-secondary choice, regardless of what that is. Because it shows the classes you took, when you took them, and how well you did it. One component we want to highlight that appears on the top of your transcript is your grade point average, or GPA. It is a weighted GPA on a 5.0 scale, and it's calculated at the end of each semester. For a frame of reference, an A plus in an AP class equals a 5.0. An A plus in an honors class equals a 4.5, and an A plus in an academic class equals a 4.0. This means that honors and AP courses carry a higher number value than an academic course. On your transcript, you will notice what the GPA is and how many semesters it is actually based upon. Moving on to the body of your transcript, you will see the course name listed on the left-hand side with the course number, the level of the course taken, and your final exam, along with the credit earned in that course. At the end of each year, you will see a sum total of credits earned for that whole year. A new thing you will notice on your transcript, given that we went to remote learning last year, is that any class that you had as a semester-based class may have a P next to it. We're highlighting this because the P's are not calculated into your GPA. The last thing we want to tell you about your transcript is that as a senior, it looks a little different. Grades for term 1, term 2, and term 3 are all included on your transcript, so when they're sent to colleges, employers, or scholarship opportunities, they can see how you're progressing during your senior year. Once the year is over, it will look similar to the rest of your transcript, and that only final grades will appear with your total credits earned in your high school career.
Hi guys, this is Miss S, and I'm be taking over, talking to you a little bit about developing your post-secondary plan. Junior year is your time to investigate with intention. What does it really mean to attend a 4-year university versus a 2-year institution? Does it make sense for you to participate in a gap year program? Are you aware of the different military branches and what each one has to offer? Are you not certain of what you want to do and maybe want to jump into a career or continue with a career choice you've already started? So for example, maybe you're working at McDonald's and you want to transition to be a branch owner or even a manager. Maybe you're a bank teller and want to learn how to go into mortgages. Have you considered researching any kind of certificate program? So for example, a certified nursing assistant, or maybe even a trade, like joining an HVAC team or becoming a lineman. There are many options, and post-secondary planning is definitely not one size fits all. Think about your passions and where you devote your free time. How can you turn that into a career? It would be a good time to now take a minute and revisit your Naviance account and look at the 16 career pathways we discussed last year when we were in wellness classes. Are you interested in those pathways or careers that you maybe favorited last year? Set up an appointment with your counselor and think about having these conversations. There are a couple scholarship opportunities that we want to put on your radar. The John and Abigail Adams, as well as the Copeland scholarships, are 4-year renewable state scholarships that historically have been dependent on MCAS scores, plus some additional requirements. The state is still making decisions on eligibility and is being flexible on timeline to use them. If you have individual questions, you can see Mrs. Lerner here in the school counseling office. The College Board Opportunity Scholarships are a series of tasks, mostly during senior year, that once completed, enter you into a scholarship drawing. The first task is for you to create a college list in your College Board account using Big Future. This year, colleges have upped their virtual game and are offering more ways for you to explore their campuses than ever. Some schools are still offering in-person visits, but make sure you call and plan ahead because you typically have to have an appointment and you want to make sure you're adhering to state safety guidelines. For those of you who are still interested in maybe kind of exploring, we've listed 2 college fairs here that are upcoming that you may want to check out. Any questions regarding employment, you can see Ms. Bartlett in our school counseling office. So coming up next is another step that you can take to update or even create a resume of activities in Naviance or on a Google Doc. Last year, we recommended adding activities that you've been involved in, starting with grade 9. Be sure to include extracurricular activities, which are sports and clubs, volunteer services, work experience, and awards and recognitions. You enter a title, start and end dates, and the grade you participated in, the commitment involved, and a brief description of what you did. Here's another example of how to capture and communicate your experience with, again, entering a title, start and end dates, grade participated in, time commitment involved, and a brief description. We know that planning for after high school can be super overwhelming, and we'll be with you guys every step of the way. This slide gives you an overview of the curriculum your school counselors will be working on with you this year. Most of it happens in the spring semester. One important thing to note is the PSAT and MSQT will be offered here at the high school this January, and the date is January 26th, so keep that in mind. All right, so what should you do next? It's really important to research and plan college visits or any other post-secondary options. It's your time to develop a plan and make an appointment with your school counselor and ask any questions you might have. Log into your Google Classroom. The code is here. You can access it right from this slide. Follow us on social media. Our Instagram and our Facebook accounts are linked here. Remember, guys, academics and lifelong learning are just as important as taking care of you. Balance the different aspects of your life and make it more manageable and pleasurable. When you notice yourself becoming stressed or anxious or irritable or just not feeling like your normal self, make time for the things you enjoy. Maybe watch a TikTok video, play a video game, go for a run, have a family game night, or sit with your pet and get some snuggles. We're here for you. We believe in you, juniors, and we'll see you soon.